What's going on, everybody? Happy Black History Month, and welcome to another episode of Culture 316. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Ahisi. I'm joined by my guy Banks. My bro Banks is back in the building.
Y'all tired of seeing me, huh? I already know. Trust me, I'm about to reduce my time this month just because I know that's
nah,
2 weeks in a row. So
bro, you always welcome, and we always love seeing you
no,
up here.
but that
But,
don't mean the audience think I'm welcome. I know what they came here for.
but
She DNP
it,
today.
I feel it. I feel it. But yeah, we back. Shout outs to everyone who joined us on our 316 space. It was a lot of fun per usual. So obviously there were a lot of mixed reactions to the end of the show, which was definitely something that we're going to be getting into today. Um, and yeah, so I think that sums up my little introduction. We're not gonna waste any time. Oh, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts can be streamed, be sure to rate this show a 5 stars. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We greatly appreciate all the support, but we're gonna get right into it. So obviously, this past Sunday was the 2023 Royal Rumble, which had a lot of polarizing reactions to the show overall. But I wanted to ask you, how would you rank that show out of 10, and what did you think was the moment of the night?
Hmm. You want to be honest or lie to
Honest.
you? All right, so let me be like everybody else because it was a great moment. That end segment that was
Mm,
beautiful. Uh, that's the best thing going on right now in pro wrestling. I'll say that. Besides, the great Bianca Belair and anything she does. Um, and this is coming from an AEW guy. Even though I love all professional wrestling, I love all promotions. Hell, like I said before, I think last week I watched Impact. Don't watch NWA because I don't want to see Funkasaurus with the NWA title. But I'm not calling my mom about that. But it was great. I said it on social media when I feel like talking on social media, and I'll say it right here. It's time to put the title on that man. Go ahead, put the title on him. It's it's been 3 years almost since that storyline happened and how it is formulated with the bloodline. Put that title on Jey Uso. I think it's time now. And then it just feels like the perfect time. Like it used to be like when people were saying it, like I remember when the Hell in a Cell match happened, everybody kept saying he has potential to be a main eventer, and then it kind of withered away. But now seeing that and how it played out, then I'm like, yeah, put the title on. Like, no disrespect to Sami Zayn, but no, Jey Uso, I think could be that guy. I wouldn't say that guy for the company because obviously they only made one Roman Reigns, but
mm,
that's not a bad number two. But I think it's time for him to come off the title. I mean, but if he, I still kind of have my predictions about what's going to play out in Mania, as far as him keeping, if they do the double belt thing, but if they
mm.
don't, and it's just him versus Cody Rhodes, which I doubt is going to happen, I think it's going to be Sammy or Jay. Either way, if they do it that way, then I don't think Cody is the dude to take the title off him, but I think Jay Uso could be to take one of those titles.
Mm. So I actually agree with you on that Sami Zayn bloodline segment being honestly the highlight of the show. I think that was definitely the moment of the night, the moment that kind of stuck out. Um, and I mean, I feel like it's just because of how good the bloodline storyline has been for the past 3 years. I also felt like it was a very, very big contrast compared to the rest of the show. I think that everything that kind of happened was very predictable. And there's nothing wrong with predictable sometimes. Like Cody won the Rumble, the men's Rumble. Rhea Ripley was the Iron Woman of the Women's Royal Rumble match and won the Women's Royal Rumble match. Um, the Pitch Black match was the Pitch Black match. I don't think that a lot of people had a lot of high hopes for it because of the gimmick match, and you know. So I feel like everything was very predictable. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that bloodline moment at the end of the show was definitely the highlight of the show. And it was honestly just very beautiful to watch. Just kind of see everything unfold. As far as the title is concerned, I do think that it's time for Roman to come up off the title. I think we're going to be seeing Sammy versus Roman at a Elimination Chamber
Mm-hmm.
because it's in Montreal. and that's Sammy's hometown. And I feel like there's going to be a moment with Sammy and KO in Montreal that's probably going to lead to um, them being a tag team. That's my honest prediction. Honestly, I definitely see Jey Uso about to start his real main event path. But I don't think that he's going to get the title at Mania. But anything can happen. It's the WWE, so we'll definitely see about that. But I
Well,
just
I'll say this before we segue over. See, I know the spots now, brother. I've been on the show enough, and not to cut you off. I know how you work now. You can't trick me with that Shaq meme. Said you can't trick me. I'm familiar with your game. And this man, Mr. Naisi, is a great person and podcaster as well. But before we
thank you.
get over there, because he's a real professional, so it's like, all right, I got to catch you midair
Before I get my point,
so
yeah.
I can take this. So you want to take this bump? So if that's the case, then they could just make them work double being the Usos. Now it's confliction. Okay, now they got to come off the tag titles, which has been rumored for a while, against Sami
Mhm.
Zayn versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. Cool. But then if Jey Uso is in that match, it's like, all right, if he loses, then it's like, all right, well, Roman Reigns still that dude. But if he gets over, it makes it even better. But then that's how you separate the Usos, which is fine at this point. One of the greatest tag teams in WWE history. I put emphasis on WWE history because they haven't worked in a promotion outside of it. And I
Mhm.
go by when I do my, correlation of who's the greatest of all time, you got to work for other promotions. You can't just be WWE and that's it. And I can't call you one of the greatest of all time outside, as a pro wrestler, unless
Right.
you work with all the promotions for the, so to speak. But I think that'd be a good idea. So Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. I mean, 5 minute match, bro. Come on, like come on, bro. You can't expect Sami Zayn to get no baby face comeback. You know what I mean? Like against Roman Reigns. Nah.
I think the contrary. I think he's gonna put up a fight. Um, and I think it may be even longer than that 5 minute match, just because I feel like it's going to be a very, very dramatic. I feel like the ending is going to be very, very dramatic. Based off of what we saw at the Royal Rumble, it kind of has to have a little bit of a dramatic ending, in my opinion, just to kind of complement the rest of the story. Um, but yeah, I think there's going to be a dramatic ending. But while we're on the topic of the bloodline, I wanted to know what your standpoint was because after that Royal Rumble moment, I saw a lot of podcasters, one of them, Sir Wilkins from the Jobbeteer, shout outs to him, saying that this was the best WWE storyline in the past 30 years. I wanted to know, how would you rank this amongst pro wrestling storylines in general? Like how does the Bloodline storyline, as it is, how is it? Where does it rank for you?
I feel like, and I like Sarah Wilkins, but I feel like he be bench pressing when he be coming up with these ideas. Bench pressing 200 pounds. No, I'm sorry, 500 pounds, and coming
Five,
up. Yeah,
yeah.
this is great storyline. I wouldn't go that far. It's up there. It's definitely up there. I wouldn't go that far to say it. And it's not like I said, I like Wilkins. We've interacted in person several times. I interact with people in person, by the way, once again.
That's a
Uh
fact.
so they can see I got bass in my voice even in person. But besides that, I can't I wouldn't say 30 years. I feel like, and if I got a debate about it, maybe he's right, but I don't feel like it's that. Like, I mean, everything that's happened in the past 3 years with Roman Reigns and his bloodline has been great. It's some of the best storytelling in pro wrestling history. I
Mm.
will say that overall pro wrestling history, because it's a storyline, not an actual wrestler. And like I said, this is just my opinion. But 30 years, I don't know, bro, because we had the Attitude Era. We had Vince going against Austin. We had the corporate ministry going against one dude. We had The Rock versus Stone Cold. We didn't had Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. We didn't, like,
Mm.
yeah, 30 years is kind of a stretch. And 30 years to be considered what, 1993?
1990,
Yeah,
yeah,
1990.
1993. Yeah.
Yeah. So nah. And then you got, redacted Hogan, you know what I mean? When he joined the NWO, yeah, that's kind of a stretch, bro. Like, there's a lot of history in the past 30 years alone, let alone if you go back to the 80s and the 70s. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, we had Steamboat versus Flair towards the end around this time. Sting versus Ric Flair around this time towards the end of that. So it's like, yeah, that's a lot, bro.
I agree with
But
that. I
understandable.
would say, is it the best storyline in the past 30 years? Probably not the best, but it's definitely top five in the past 25 years. I'll give it that. I think that not Rock, Stone Cold versus Vince will always do it for me. I feel like that was the overarching story of the Attitude Era was Stone Cold versus Vince. And you can kind of fill in your 2, 3, 4, and 5 respectively, but I think that the Bloodline storyline is definitely a top five WWE. And I want to make that clear, a top five WWE storyline in the past 25 years. Because, like you said, there are other promotions that have done other great things over the past 25 years, 30 years of pro wrestling. Um, so I think I'll acknowledge it at that. I definitely will say that it's probably the best storyline in the modern day pro wrestling, in the sense of, during the Impact, AEW, WWE era, I guess you can say, with New Japan. I think this is the best. I think that this is I think this is the yeah, I think this is the best modern day storyline in pro wrestling for sure. This is definitely something that is dominating the industry. Um, it has created stars, it has cemented legacies, and it has created valuable, memorable moments for everyone involved. And it's making a new star in the process with Solo, right? It's making this, all of this is helping form the identity of Solo Sokoa, who I think is going to be a major player in this company for years to come. But I don't think that it's the best storyline in the past 30 years because there's so many, but it's definitely top five. I definitely put it up there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like I said, Lucas take his pre-workout and then he goes 0 to 100. So, and that's not to deny that man. Like I said, we have history. As far as me meeting him, shaking hands, and he's a good dude. I'm just saying, like that's a bit much, and I'll tell him the same thing or anybody else. It's just that's yeah, bro. Like, and me, him, and you the same age. It's like, dog, we we remember the attitude. I'm a little bit older than y'all, but still, we around
Right.
the same age bracket. We remember that. If you in your 30s, not to give out Mr. Nahisi's age away, but if you in your
I'm
30s, you
29,
from the
so
attitude era.
yeah,
Hell, everybody had a storyline back in the attitude era. We remember
everybody.
Al Snow and Big Boss Man with Pepper. All right, when he made him carne asadas. So
We
we,
Nah, but
so
that's a fact. I agree with you 100% though, as far as that attitude era having a lot of storylines. Uh, Definitely wanted to like ask the audience how they felt as far as where they rank the Bloodline storyline amongst other WWE storylines. But we're going to move on. So, uh, obviously, going back to the Royal Rumble, and Zelina Vega, right? She came in at the Royal Rumble at 21, and she was cosplaying Jury from Street Fighter, as WWE revealed that she has lended her voice as the color commentator in the new real-time commentary feature in Street Fighter 6. Um, as someone who plays video games, as someone who likes Street Fighter, I think this is super, super dope. But I just wanted to know how you felt about this move by Selena Vega, her being a part of this video game franchise and lending her voice.
I'm gonna say this, and this is a PG-13 podcast, obviously, because we're not on here with filthy mouths like Monique. We're not cursing, as you can see. You feel me? But I'll tell you what, Selena Vega could talk about, you know what I mean, anything relating to World War II, and I'll listen with that voice. I'm gonna be sitting up here because I play Street Fighter. I'm gonna be sitting just like this, like let them hold on, let her cook. So I'm definitely tapped into that. And that was a great outfit she had on, but I'm trying to be respectful.
I think that I second that notion. Obviously, Zelina is a beautiful woman, but I think that this is such a dope moment for her, and I'm so happy for her. Obviously, her being a New York City
Mm.
girl adds another layer to it. I feel like when I see moves like this, I will always think about the New Day and their influence, I feel like the New Day played a very, very big part in showing how people of color can have nuance and multiple interests, and all of those interests be well represented and still be taken seriously as a pro wrestler or a sports entertainer or whatever you want to label it. And I feel like the things that the New Day has done have made way for Zelina to kind of take this opportunity. Not to say that like the New Day is the reason why she's in the spot that she's in. Absolutely not. But I feel like the New Day and their form of representation, as far as them being video game fans and them being a top selling faction, has put a spotlight on, you know, people of color in the WWE, and showing like, hey, you can, be this dope pro wrestler and like video games and still be taken seriously as a wrestler. You know what I mean? And I think that this is just so cool for Zelina. If you follow her, you know that she's very, very big into anime, very, very big into cosplaying, very, very big into video games and anime. And I'm just very, very excited for her. And seeing how this kind of opportunity shapes and takes form as the video game releases. I just think that this is just an amazing opportunity for her. And I'm just very, very excited for her being a part of Street Fighter. I'll definitely be copping that game. You about to say something? Were you gonna say something or?
No, I'm gonna buy it. You just I actually did have something to say. So what system are you playing it on?
Probably PlayStation. Probably PlayStation. I got to get a new one too because Delta broke my old joint, and I got static with them for mishandling my belongings. So Delta, y'all gave me 5,000 miles. That's not enough. I'm telling y'all right now, I need more. But yeah, they broke my
You
they
said you
broke my
want
PS.
a new one.
Huh?
Oh,
No,
they broke your system.
they broke my system, bro. Like I had it in my bag, and whatchamacallit, and I got it. I came home from New York, took it out of my bag, and the joint was broken. I was like, so, I
Did
reached
you
out
tell
to them.
them
They
it was
gave
a
me,
PS5?
I didn't tell them it was a PS5, but I should
Yeah,
have.
you shouldn't tell them it's a 5. Yeah, they would have you would have got copped for that, and then don't buy no PS5. Is
Yeah,
what you do. Get you a Series S for about $200 on offer up. Save the rest of that money. You feel me?
that's a fact.
Get you a
Now,
winning system. Yeah, get you a winning system.
I need it. I
That's
need
why I
it so.
asked what system. Get you an Xbox Series S or X. Well, you doing all right for yourself, brother. Get you an X.
I think I may have to make that jump. But
Yeah,
back to the
come on
main
to the
back to
winning
the main
side.
topic. I want to know how everybody else feels about Zelina Vega joining the color commentary of Street Fighter 6. But we're gonna
I
move
thought you was about to
on.
say the colors.
The
I
colors.
don't like her outfit.
So so still kind of harping on the Royal Rumble. It looks like um, Rhea Ripley and Cody Rhodes will challenge Charlotte Flair and Roman Reigns for their respective titles at WrestleMania 39. Rhea made the challenge on Raw. Cody made his challenge on Raw. Um, Wanted to know, which match are you the most excited for and why?
Sleep. That's what I'm excited for.
Nah, don't violate like that.
Yeah, I don't want to see. I don't care about either one of them. I've been said that when everybody jumped on the Cody bandwagon last year, which is hilarious because everybody was talking trash about him when he was in ROH. I never really liked him when he was
Mm.
taking them chair shots from the perfect 10, sorry ass 10. That's the only time I want to cuss. When he took the chair shot from the sorry 10 in 2019. People was talking about, why is he doing this? Then he popped up on your WWE screen last year, and everybody was like, "No, I've been like him." Fickle, fickle. That's what I always talk about, these WWE marks. They don't know what they want until you give it to them, just like most consumers. So on that Saturday, Sunday, whenever these matches are supposed to take place, yeah, I think that'll be my break to step outside. Maybe see what game is on at the moment, because that's what I usually do. That's what I did with Royal Rumble. I was watching the Lakers versus Celtics. Why? Because it's more important to see LeBron, make history on his way to make history. 89
Mm-hmm.
points away. That's the thing that's more
Mm-hmm.
important than seeing Cody Rhodes go over. I don't care about Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, in the words of the great Tyler Creator. Okay. Like
Nah.
that's what I'm like. I don't care. Now, if it was Rhea versus Bianca for sure, but now we got to
Mm,
figure that out. It's rumored that it might be Asuka. Cool,
mm,
but I feel like we seen that. We can see that on Raw. Don't really care. Hey man, this is gonna be another year. Y'all gonna have to come up with some sports entertainment stuff because my
mm,
favorite matches last year were
mm,
sports entertainment matches, being Sami Zayn versus Jackass, which was match of the year,
mm,
or Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens. Those legit don't like. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Bianca and Becky match was fire.
mhm,
Every time they wrestled was fire. The Cody Rhodes match, all jokes aside, was good. But I mean, Seth Rollins, one of those people, he could wrestle a broomstick and it still be cold. Pause. Uh, but otherwise, now, yeah, gonna have to come up with some sports entertainment this year because so far, not feeling good.
mm. Nah. I I'm actually on the opposite end of the spectrum. I think, let me just make sure that I get my points. There we go. Personally, I am I'm eager to see both. Um However, what I will say is that the match that I'm most excited for out of the two is probably Rhea versus Charlotte. I want to see Rhea versus Bianca, like I feel like most wrestling fans do at this point. However, one thing that I'm noticing is that if Rhea faces Charlotte and Bianca faces Asuka, they're molding Bianca and Rhea into this generation's women's counterparts to John Cena and Randy Orton. And I feel like once
What
Orton
about
and Cena
Batista?
huh?
I'm
I
sorry,
think
step on your point,
You
brother.
can
What
make the
about
same thing
Batista?
about Batista as well. I think that they are building both of them up to be their generation's heel and their generation's face, so that whenever they meet at WrestleMania, it's going to be insane. And I feel like the reason why they're not facing each other now is because, for starters, Rhea wants her lick back, right? When Rhea and Charlotte went at it for the NXT Women's Championship, it was during the pandemic, right? Nobody in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, Rhea lost. So I think that Rhea's priority is to finish some unfinished business and complete that story. And I think that as time progresses, we're going to see a lot of Bianca's former opponents take on a lot of Rhea. I mean, a lot of Rhea. I think a lot of Bianca's former opponents are going to take on Rhea for her championship. And by the time it's time for Bianca and Rhea, it's going to be like, listen, we done ran through everybody that we needed to run through except for each other. And I think that that's going to make a very, very special moment and a very, very special match. And that's the reason why I'm not necessarily tripping off of like not seeing Rhea versus Bianca, because I feel like if we get it now, it would be too soon. Because I feel like you want to make the case you want to make the case for either that they are their generation's top star in their division. And I feel like by continuing to build their resumes, you're going to keep building that case. So, you know, that's how I feel about that match. Cody versus Roman, I think it's going to be a little bit overbooked because Cody's dramatic. But
That's what I'm
I
saying. I don't,
I think that I think it's gonna be nice. I think it's gonna be cool. Um, but yeah, that's just like my opinion. But I want to know what everybody else feels. Which match from the Royal Rumble winners are you excited for? Are you excited for Cody Rhodes versus Roman, or are you excited for Rhea versus Charlotte? And we're
I got
moving on.
I got two other thoughts.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go
It'll
ahead.
be real quick. I know how the time goes. Um, so this is my thing. Number one, this is in slander, but if old girl didn't run from the grind, this would be perfect for the story to run it back in LA 2 years later. Y'all know who
Hmm.
I'm talking about. Number two, I want people to probably give up hope. I hate to be pessimistic, but give up hope. Naomi ain't coming back. I've been saying it for months now. She ain't coming back, bro. Y'all gotta let that hurt go. And it's fine. She a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Let it go. It's all right.
Yeah. I felt that.
That's it. Yeah, we ain't
That's
gonna
it.
get that match, and then it would make sense to book that match anyway. Because who gonna be the heel? Naomi after coming back?
Right. Naomi's
I
so
don't know.
over that like if she
So
comes back, she's an automatic face. So I 100%
that's what I'm saying.
agree with you.
So it's like yeah, it'll make those sense. So we probably gonna get Oscar versus Bianca, and that's gonna be all right.
Say less. But yeah, We're moving on. So, with the Royal Rumble in the books, WWE is gearing up for the Elimination Chamber, which will be on February 18th in Montreal. And they have already announced two huge matches. First one will determine the number one contender to the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania, and the other will be on another one will be an Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship, and it already has guys like Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed. I believe Johnny Gargano is in that match. So, based on these two Elimination Chamber matches, which one intrigues you the most? Is it the U.S. title? Is it the number one contender for the? Is it the number one contender for the women's title? Which one?
The women's tag.
No, not the
They
women's
bringing back
tag,
the.
like the women's
I'm
the
about to
Raw
say.
women's title. The winner
I
of
was
it
like,
gets to face
bro,
the Raw
even
women.
they forgot about the women's tag match, women's tag titles. I'm like, damn, I had to remember they had that. When they start booking it, because more, I don't mean they probably not gonna do that anyway, so I'm not gonna even get to that. Like for the title shot, which would be interesting if they don't do it that way. Like usually it's always like if you win the match, you get the title shot at WrestleMania. So if they don't go that route this year, that'd be different.
Right,
And I felt like they would have announced that already. So I don't know how they're gonna play this out, which makes me to believe they go on that route that we talked about earlier.
right.
Uh, more than likely, I don't know, bro. Like, because the U.S. title, like, damn, I really want to hurt myself for a U.S. tag title, and no disrespect, because it's a lot of history, not tag, but it's a lot of history behind the U.S. title. But do I really
Mm-hmm.
want to hurt myself for the mid card title, prestige title?
Mm.
But do I really want to go through hell for that? So I mean, maybe that by default, just because you going through that for the U.S. title, like, bro, yeah, the U.S. title, because the women's, you going for the women's title, which means
Mm.
you'll be on the card, the main card for
Yeah.
WrestleMania. But the U.S. title, did they say it's for? And I probably forgot that you said it. Is it for a U.S. title shot at WrestleMania?
No, it's for the actual. So it's for the title. It's for the title. Like it's
Oh, it's
for
for
the
the
U.S.
title. Sorry. Yeah,
Championship.
I'm tripping.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking it's to get a shot at the title at WrestleMania. Yeah, I don't, why would you go through all that for the U.S. title?
Mm.
Yeah, women's, because it's like I'm thinking about why would you go through that?
I feel that. I definitely feel that. I
Yeah,
would say.
let's go with the women.
I, I was gonna say I'm equally excited for both because I believe that Elimination Chamber is going to be the official coming out party of this new version of Asuka, right? We
Mm-hmm.
have seen her with the new paint, very much channeling Kana. We saw her in her backstage segment with Carmella, who is back, which she's back as herself now. So I'm actually cool on that. Um, but seeing this new presentation of Asuka is going to be probably the focal point of this women's elimination chamber match because I believe that is going to be, like we said earlier, I think it's going to be Asuka versus Bianca at Mania. And if it is,
Mm-hmm.
then the only way that makes sense is if there's this new version of Asuka. And therefore, they have to continue to build this presentation and to build the reputation of Asuka in her current form. So I'm excited to see that the US title right now, I kind of have the same mindset you do. Like, am I really gonna hurt myself over the US title? Right. But at the same time, this continues the trend of Triple H building the prestige of these mid-card titles. Between the Intercontinental Championship being put on Gunther, him being the Iron Man of the men's Royal Rumble match, him having these very, very
Mm-hmm.
engaging face-offs with guys like Brock, and that could lead to a WrestleMania match. Who knows, right? And then you have the U.S. title being put into this predicament where you have guys like Seth Rollins, who is a former world champion, arguably one of the best wrestlers on the planet, along with guys like Bronson Reed and Johnny Gargano, who are looking to be on the up and up and on the come up in the company. And just seeing that this championship is going to be placed in this environment is going to raise the prestige. And you got guys in there that know how to put on good matches. Johnny Gargano, he has a history of putting on some really good matches. Same as Seth Rollins. So I think that we're going to get a match in that U.S. title for in the Elimination Chamber that's ultimately going to raise the prestige of the U.S. Championship. And I think that that's the long term. That's part of the long term plan more than anything. So I'm equally excited for both because I feel like each one is going to have a different focus than the other one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's in the meantime between time. That's all they're doing at this moment, just getting everybody prepared for WrestleMania because there's no pay per view obviously in March. So this the end. Meantime between time, you got to build up stories. You got to just
Yeah.
we cruise control until then.
Mm-hmm. But I want to know how everybody else feels. How do we feel about this the Elimination Chamber uh event? It's going to be in Montreal. It's also rumored that Sami Zayn and Roman are going to be going at it in Sami Zayn's hometown. So we want to know which Elimination Chamber match are you guys the most excited for? But we're going to move on to something outside of pro wrestling that has to do with directly with pro wrestling. So this past weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Cincinnati Bengals to advance to Super Bowl 58, which is going to be taking place on February 12th in Arizona. But during the AFC Championship trophy presentation, tight end Travis Kelce told the mayor of Cincinnati to know your role and shut your mouth. Wanted to know, what does this say about the influence of pro wrestling in the world of sports and entertainment at large?
Well, because it's a contact sport, they understand. I don't think they know the severity of how tough pro wrestling is, but they probably have an idea that mat people is not made of cotton. That is plywood under that. And
Mm,
that piece that's above it that you see everybody laying on, I can't think of it, the cloth. That's just made to cover yourself in the plywood. If anybody watched AEW on Wednesday night and you saw that Darby
Samoa
Allen
Joe.
versus Samoa
Yeah.
Joe match, which was a great match, you see him cut Darby Allen, the pliers to cut it. Yeah, that's all it is. It's nothing to protect yourself. So imagine doing bumps on that for 40 years or so, like Ric Flair, or 30 years or so. So they probably have an idea. And I mean, it's The Rock too. That's the thing.
Mm,
Like, it's two different people. It's The Rock and Dwayne Johnson. We seeing Dwayne Johnson right now. He a lame, but I remember The Rock. Once again, we came up in Attitude Era. We remember The Rock. You feel me? And The Rock used to say stuff. I'm to this day I'll be quoting. I'm like, dog, what does that even mean? And then like, dog, Rudy, what is a Rudy Poo?
Rudy
You
Poo.
feel me? Talking about taking stuff and shoving it up people's, what? It's like, dog, what? So him saying know your role. Shouts out once again to Mr. Ron Simmons.
Mm,
He's the one that coined that term. He used to tell The Rock and everybody else that was in the Nation of Domination, just know your role and shut your mouth about the business. So that term went from him to The Rock, and then now it's being said 20 plus years, probably 30 years later. It's the brilliance of it, man. It's an
mm,
art form, being pro wrestling. It's the reason why we, at times we mark out for it, because
mm,
just like fanatical things in movies, some truth to it.
mm.
You know what I mean? Where did the idea come from? So him quoting that, I really did enjoy it. That's my Super Bowl pick, by the way. I don't care nothing about the damn Eagles. I wish nothing but the worst for Eagle fans. I don't like y'all. If you listen to this at the sound of my voice, I do not like y'all. The Cowboys is going, hey, Pat my homeboy throwing 500 yards on y'all against that great defense.
I'm still listen. I'm not gonna sit up here and go for the Eagles because I'm a New York sports fan myself. So fingers crossed for Mahomes. But to this point, first of all, I think that this speaks to what makes pro wrestling so special. The names transcend the industry, and the charisma and the characters transcend the industry itself to translate into multiple aspects of everything that we love about other forms of sports and entertainment, right? Like, the once again, we grew up on The Rock. I'm pretty sure Travis Kelce grew up on The Rock. um and if you look across the landscape of sports right now, you see so many different wrestling references in sports, whether it's Travis Kelce saying, know your role and shut your mouth, George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers doing the little uh, Pinto, Cero Miedo celebration. We can look at
Mm.
Joel Embiid doing the freaking DX chop begrudgingly against my Brooklyn Nets. when he was, you know, getting into them. But I feel like this says so much about the influence of pro wrestling because it's the things that make pro wrestling special, the defiance, the rebellion, the anti-establishment nature that we fell in love with that translates so well across other industries. I feel like it also shows that, you know, attitude and charisma and words sell fights. They try to do it in UFC. You know, we see it sometimes in basketball, sometimes in football, but these are the things that make you excited to watch a game. And that's not by coincidence. I feel like that is directly tied to pro wrestling. The fact that the words that you say precede you and precede a game, and they build anticipation for an event that everybody wants to buy into. That's very much a pro wrestling thing. That's very much, more specifically, a WWE thing because they've been able to refine it and perfect it more than any other promotion consistently has. But I just, you know, when I see stuff like this, where I see Travis Kelsey telling, you know, that man to know your role and shut your mouth, it just shows you that wrestling is everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's so influential. And yeah, I just thought that that was just like a super dope moment. But yeah, that's really all I had to say about it. Wanted to know what everybody else feels about this occurrence, but I think we're gonna move on from there, unless you had some other thoughts, Banks.
What else do you think about the Kansas City Chiefs?
As a team.
It doesn't matter what you think about the Kansas City
Damn,
Chiefs. Let's move on.
I'm tight. I felt for that, but moving on from that
Yeah,
because I
see?
deserve that. Yeah, I deserve that. I'm gonna eat that like a grown man because I deserve that.
No,
I
no,
don't.
no. It just see, it's 20 plus years of this dude he did that 20 plus years ago, and it's still being quoted. That's what it
Mm-hmm,
is. Like you be always, I promise you, at least once a week in your head, you be wanting to say that to people just to mess with them.
mm-hmm. That's a fact.
That's how it works, bro. Like people with the stone cold quotes and all that.
I be wanting to. I be wanting to open a
Listen,
can of
man,
whoopee.
people still be doing that.
That's
You
a
want to
fact.
open up a can of what, brother? Can open up a can of prayer for the people that you don't like. All right, Ezekiel 3.
Not Ezekiel 3, but we gonna move on because you said you were talking about all elite wrestling, and it kind of works perfectly into our next little segment. Because all elite wrestling is officially getting into live events. We talked about this previously on the show. Um,
Mhm.
how they were going to get into house events, and it looks like they have begun this week. They had two major announcements that they are rebranding their community outreach program to be AEW Together. But I think that one of the things that got the most notoriety was the fact that AEW has announced a series of what they call intimate weekend house shows starting on March 18th in Troy, Ohio. But the name of this series is called House Rules. So I want to know, how do you feel about AEW getting into the live event space, the house event space?
If I'm the wrestlers, how much am I getting paid more? That's what I'm gonna ask. Am I getting paid more? That's what the question you should always ask in anything you do. Am I getting paid for this? Unless you're doing it, you know what I mean, to help somebody and you don't expect to get anything out. How much am I getting paid for this?
Mm,
You see, like that's it. So I came over to this promotion for a reduced schedule. And I understand eventually who's gonna have to do house shows. They probably do probably two house shows a week. And if I'm not on TV, cool, let me do the house shows. But if I got to do, like, if I'm the main person, I got to do house shows and TV, which is still, you probably working 3 times a week still.
right.
So that's fine. But I don't care if I got to travel and then we got a show in Ohio, we got a show in LA, woo doo woo woo. I still need to get that extra pay. You feel me, Mr. Khan? Go ahead, sending me that extra money. And then now, especially because shouts out to the Woj of AEW news being Keeks from All Elite with Keeks every Monday. Shameless plug, Public Enemies, produced by
Hey,
myself and Graham. Um, and sometime I talk on there. I was just on this past week episode. Shameless plug. Uh, she broke the news this morning, as of this recording, that they might have a deal, which was been rumored for a while, with Warner Brothers Discovery for a streaming platform being AEW.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's some breaking news if nobody doesn't know. But once again, shouts out to Keeks, all Elite
Shout
with
out to
Keeks.
Keys.
Yeah, so she broke the news about that. So it's a rumor right now that it's gonna happen, and it's probably happened. When white people say it's a rumor, that means it probably happened.
Probably's happening,
or
yeah.
they just don't want you to know. Anytime the government said we thinking about doing this, that means it's done. All right. So if you got the streaming coming out, obviously nobody makes money for streaming. That's why people be wanting artists to put out music. Why? The stream ain't worth nothing. The label getting paid off me. I get paid off merch and touring. But as it relates, going back to, as this correlates, touring, quote unquote, doing house shows, because that's touring. Yeah, I need some extra money. I need some extra bread, bro, because I got to pay for the hotel. Unless you paying for the hotel, unless you giving us what is it when you get food and all that, RPM or whatever? I can't think of it, but whatever. If you paying for the food, the hotel, the airfare, then cool. I'm straight. I will negotiate a better contract because I need that bread when my contract is up. But if that's being cashed out, then I'm fine. And then once again, you probably working probably 2 to 3 times, maybe 4 at the most a week. That's cool. Because this past week on AEW, the Elite didn't have a match, so that works out.
I It's so funny because when this news first kind of came out about them possibly getting into house events because of the acquisition of Jeff Jarrett, and his position has is directly tied to the production of live events. That was one of the things that I had a concern about was money, right? A lot of these guys that signed on to do AEW signed on because of a reduced work schedule, kind of similar to like the allure of like what TNA was in its heyday, was like you come in, you work once a week, you done. But since a lot of guys signed on to AEW, a lot of their responsibilities have expanded. Sometimes they're doing dark, which sometimes can be filmed during TV. It could sometimes also be filmed, you know, in Orlando at Universal. So that could be 1 to 2 times a week. Now with Ring of Honor, some guys are working both AEW and Ring of Honor. Then you have now these house shows that are going to be on weekends, and now that can range into anywhere from 1 time a week to 4 times a week. So it's just like, is there extra money? Is there extra compensation for it? Um, and I think that that's going to be something that's very, very interesting to see unfold in the coming months. I think that them getting into house shows is a good thing. However, I would be very, very cautious because even the WWE house shows, even though WWE is the biggest brand in wrestling, right? Their house shows didn't sell at the rate that it used to when, back in its heyday. So I'm wondering how it's going to fare. I wonder how it's going to sorry, I had something on my mic. Wonder how it's gonna to fare in the grand scheme of things, and what type of arenas are they going to run, or what type of cities are they going to run. If it's just like one of those like limited edition series where they do it like 3 4 5 times a year, all right, cool. But if it's like a every weekend thing, it's going to drastically change AEW's business model. And I'm very, very eager to kind of see how they're going to go in and out of certain markets, because now if you do house shows, is that going to affect the attendance of TV tapings? Because a lot of these times, these TV tapings be packed because it's the only time AEW is in their city, right? Like every time AEW comes to LA, it's, they do really, really well. They pretty much almost packed out the Forum the last time. So it's like, are you going to get that same result if you're running house shows here and there as well for AEW? I don't know, but I think that that's something that kind of to be determined. But what I was going to say, while we talk about it, if they're going to continue to do these house shows, what's a city that you would like to see an AEW house show in? I already have something in mind, but I want to hear your answer.
City.
Huh?
Of course, the city. I missed the show back home already. Of course, the city. Like, man, they come there once a week. I'll show up. You feel me? If I'm there. But yeah, the city. Like, I'm gonna be. Hey, man, listen. Let me tell y'all something. What Steve Harvey doing? Let me tell y'all something. I'm from Cleveland, y'all. I'm blessed. That's how I be talking about when it come to LA. Let me tell y'all something. I'm from South Central LA. I'm blessed. So anytime it's relating, I talk trash about my city, but I talk trash about a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, LA. Come to LA. You feel me? They're gonna be in the Bay next month for Revolution. I'm
Hmm.
definitely trying to be there. And that tax return hit, I'm definitely gonna be there for sure. I ain't doing nothing responsible with it.
That's a. I gotta get a
To tell
laptop
y'all, I
one.
tell my yeah, they talking about LLCs and all that, bro. I don't want no dinner with Jay-Z. Give me the tax return. I don't
Give
want
me the bread, bro.
all the. I ain't took a damn break in 2 years.
Not an
I ain't took a
LLC,
break in
nah.
2 years. let me let me go ahead and just be frivolous.
Right, right. Let me be ignorant and foolish with my money real quick. Now, I definitely agree. I could definitely see a house show in LA. I think as an East Coast dude, I would love to see one in Philly. AEW house show at like the ECW arena. I think that would be tough. I think that would be super, super dope.
When you gonna start telling people you from Philly instead of Brooklyn?
I'm from Brooklyn. I'm never from Philly. You wildin'. Never
Because you
from
stay
Philly.
shouting out Philly. You gonna have to tell me. You might
Because
be lying, bro.
Philly is a good wrestling city. Philly's a good wrestling city, and on top of that, I know that when it comes to venues in New York, I know that you have HOG Arena, which is owned by House of Glory. So I don't know if they're gonna let other promotions run there. Then you got Barclays, MSG. Obviously, those are the big arenas. UBS, that's a big arena. The only other venue I could see them doing in New York is like a Terminal 5. If you're doing just like a house show, is like a Terminal 5. And that's a mixed bag. Or Melrose Ballroom, actually. But I feel like if the whole idea is to create these unique, intimate experiences and you want to create something memorable, I think that Philly spot, ooh, but I was just thinking about there's another place in Queens that ECW used to
You
run
about
that
to
they
say
may want to.
Delaware?
Yeah, not Delaware. Um, but I feel like I just feel like the Philly arena, um, the 2300 arena as it's now called, I think it definitely holds a special place in wrestling history. And I know that there's going to be an allure around that event that's going to be very, very intriguing to Tony Khan. So I wouldn't be opposed to
But they,
seeing that event in Philly. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, the thing is with Philly, I like Philly, but they disrespectful when it comes to sports events.
Hell
Like
yeah.
boy, they be cussing out fans, they cuss
Ooh.
out their mama, their girlfriends, all that. And you know what I mean? So that's the thing about that. I wouldn't want Jay Cargill to go there because they definitely gonna try to snatch that wig, bro. That Akuma wig she got on.
Not the Akuma wig. Nah, that's a fact though.
That's what my son do. The shadow technique, yeah.
Nah, that's a fact though. Philly is very, very disrespectful. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But we want to know what y'all feel about these AEW house shows. Let us know in the comments. Get at us. Let us know. Anyway, we're moving on to the last topic of the show. Kota Ibushi
The
has
God.
officially left New Japan Pro Wrestling. Um, he's been booked for some indie events. He's been booked for he's been booked for GCW. There's a couple other spots he's been booked
Y'all see
for.
me there.
They they apparently Tony Khan has had they asked Tony Khan about possibly him working with Kota Ibushi, and he said we've reached out to him in the past. He's someone that we would like to work with. The Young Bucks align with Tony on that statement as far as wanting to work with Kota Ibushi. But I wanted to know two things. One, which appearance are you the most excited um, for Kota Ibushi after his New Japan exit? And two, do you believe he signs a long-term contract? And if so, with who?
So number one, yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'll be at GCW. God willing, I'll be at GCW. And I heard his opponent. I think the dude is named Matt Taven, or it doesn't matter what that jabroni name is, but I feel like I've heard his name before. But otherwise, now he said right now he's just like I'm gonna work the Indies, and then see who I'll sign a deal with long term. more than likely I could see it being AEW. And then we
Mm,
still got to see what's going on with Switchblade. We still got to
mm,
see what's going on with Jay White because he keep on quote tweeting WWE, and it's like, all right, like I said before, if you want to go over there and be Captain Jack Sparrow, go ahead. You gonna make some bread, but if you want to wrestle, you already know where to go, and you've been in AEW for appearances. So,
mm-hmm.
but Kota Ibushi, who is my current favorite wrestler right now, out and has been for the past couple of years. I want to see him. Let's go. Like I always say, man, let's go scare the hoes all the way. You know what I mean? Don't always do that. Trust me. I'm talking about when it relates to wrestling. Don't do that in
Right.
your personal
In
life.
your
Don't
real
ever
life.
scare. Yeah, don't ever scare the women. Let me say women instead of hoes because people think I'm disrespecting women. Don't ever scare the women.
Mm,
But his style of wrestling correlates to scaring the women. He can't go to WWE because he that ain't gonna work. The type
right.
of stuff he want to do. Hell, I told Jordan before we came on air. He's talking about he want to wrestle Manny Pacquiao. I
Wildin'.
can't say why that won't happen, but look up why Manny Pacquiao got his Nike deal taken, and then you'll understand why. He gonna look up him and Kenny Omega, but like, yeah, that ain't gonna work. I don't think I want to wrestle him. Christ will
Christ
put
will.
him. So I am a man that got. I've had side women, but who doesn't? So yeah, just go to AEW, bro. You can wrestle. You'll be on the card more.
Mhm.
They'll know what to do with you over there. They'll just let you. You and Darby Allin can go try to kill yourselves and see who will survive the longest. Because Darby Allin only got like 2 years left in his career, if
Yeah.
that. With all these bumps he be taking. So yeah, right now he just working the indies and just seeing what works out best. I know he ain't gonna sign no long term deal with GCW because boy, you better off working at Burger King. You gonna make more money in GCW. I ain't going. I said I'm going to GCW, but I ain't gonna air out their business. But boy, yeah, it ain't worth it.
God, I agree with you. Um, I'm excited for his GCW because he has two appearances during WrestleMania week. Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 9, and then Joey Janela's Spring Break 7, which is gonna be on March 31st.
Yeah, that's sold out.
That's gonna
I
be
was gonna go to that
crazy.
one, but I went with
That
the latter. And I hate
that's
giving out my location, but you know, I'm fine because I'm back home, so
right.
I'm not too much worried.
I feel like both of these are gonna be great matches, great events. As far as where he would sign a long term deal, like you said, I feel like he's bound for all elite wrestling. I think that that's going to be the company that he has the most flexibility in because based off of like his last deal with New Japan, I think if he does sign a long term contract somewhere, it's someplace where he is allowed to work independent dates here and there, do other things that he wants to do. And I think that All Elite Wrestling is the best company that is going to make a play for him to do all the things that he wants to do. And also him being reunited with Kenny. I think that that's something that he's low key wanted to do since Kenny left New Japan. Um, it's going to be very very interesting how New Japan functions going forward because if you lose Kota Ibushi, uh, you lose Kota, you lose Jay White. Okada isn't happy based off of his situation with that guy from Noah and that last joint, but
Right, we just talked about that. Y'all just
yeah,
letting people beat me up for sure.
right. So it's one of
And we
those like
saw
they let
him at Forbidden Doors. So what that tell you?
right. So they like essentially, I don't think that Okada's happy because of like everything that's been happening surrounding him and what they've been allowing to happen to him. And so now New Japan is in a position where a lot of their top stars are walking, except for Mercedes Monet. And that's going to be a very, very interesting ordeal to see unfold as well because this show on, what
We
was
know
it,
how
the
she gonna
Battle in
be,
the
man.
Valley on the 18th? That's going to be a very, very
I wish I was
interesting.
there. That's up north.
Yeah.
That's up north though. But we know how that's gonna work out. I mean, right now it works because she with the American side of promotion, even though it's the same owners. She on
Hmm.
the American side of promotion, so it works out. So she don't have to keep going overseas, flying, and she can do whatever she want to do, makeup line or wig line, whatever the girl chooses to do. But I know see, this is why in this Black History Month, this one I'm speaking on this, but every day is Black History. You know what I mean? Even on March 30th. I
Right.
don't even know if it's a leap year. But with this is what happened when you let them. I'm about to say a word I can't say. Them white people. I'm about to say a whole different word. I'm about to say that Soldier Boy word.
Nah.
But this one I was trying to look for another one. This is what happens when you let them take over your company. You know what I mean? Old Japan went out, then New Japan came around, then y'all start letting them soccer execs. And I mean, they got the bread, so I ain't hating, but
Mm.
that's what happens, man. So you got the Japanese talent, like dog. The older ones don't care because obviously it's like a job to them at this point. It's just
Right.
like, all right, bro, I'm gonna clock in, even though I'm breaking my neck. I'm gonna go clock in. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go to the crib, eat a steak. You feel me? But the young ones, they like, nah, I ain't here for that. And be it that Kota about to be 40 years old this year, so he young, but he ain't that young.
He ain't that young, yeah.
But it's still the fact that I want better. And this has been he been healed, so shouts out to him for working the company because I seen this. The writing was on the wall because he got hurt in 2021. This is his first match, by the way, since October 2021. He been healed for a minute, but this past summer when all that was going on, he was doing the, little sub tweeting the Kanye West sub tweeting stuff, and then the owners in New Japan, they was talking about the Pilgrims. They was talking about, oh no, he coming back. He probably said bet, and then it was just a whole back and forth. Y'all could look it up. Kota mom got involved, and he was talking about I had to look after my mom and woo 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 look like House Phone versus Adam 22. What he say, she say. So he shouldn't have pulled up like House Phone did. Shouts out to House Phone, Hawthorne. So yeah, he just go to AEW, bro. That's all I can say. Like you just said, the thing is, if he go to AEW, put him in a tag with Kenny, bring back the Golden Lovers, put him against Acclaim, and then if you put him against the Alice Boys, let me tell you something. Buju Banton is gonna be very upset if they do that.
That's a fact.
It's gonna be a whole bunch of Jamaicans saying words I can't say if that happened. If that's a triple threat, and Acclaim, fatal 4-way, boy, it's gonna be a bunch of Jamaicans.
Woo. That's
Boys.
Chick-fil-A is gonna openly protest that match.
Oh no, by far. It's gonna be Saturday and they're gonna shut down. If y'all really want problems, put that match in Texas, boy.
Oh, nah.
Had that fatal 4-way, put it in Texas. Have some Jamaicans watch it and review it. Like, grandfather, look at this. As soon as you hear that, hey, cut the mic because he about to say something.
Say something. Right.
As soon as you hear that.
Nah, that's crazy. Nah, that's a fact though. But I mean, that's something that I would actually love. So fingers crossed. I want to see Kota in AEW, and I want to see those matches. But we'll see what happens.
Man, go get paid, bro.
Exactly.
You've been killing yourself for that company for years. And, this is a side banter. And then, I got to slow down because we about to wrap. But just like with jobs, hey, man, if you ain't feeling it, get as much money as you can and then just dip. Don't even give him a 2-week notice. I feel like he ain't even give him a 2-week notice. He just dipped,
out,
which is something you could do. Right. So it's like, you've been hurting yourself for years. Go get that money from AEW because you can negotiate. Hey, man, because Tony is a mark. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. He's a mark. So it'd be like, hey, bro, I need whoop, 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 whoop. You feel me? I was over there. You know me. You a fan of me. Give me that hug. Give me that bread because I know you're going to try to hug me, bro. But if you go to WWE, they're going to try to, make it seem like you got to earn your name over there. Mm-hmm. If he go over there, he ain't going to be over like that. The reason why I work with AJ Styles is because AJ Styles was AJ Styles before he went to Japan.
Right.
So with Kota Ibusi, because he's a foreigner, they're going to be like, you see how they treat the Shinsuke even when he arrived on the main card. And the NXT they knew because it's a lot of marks that knew about him overseas, including myself.
Right.
But when he got to the main card, they were just like, okay. So it'd be the same thing with Kota Ibusi. So go to AEW. You'll probably get somewhere along the line of the money you'll get from WWE. The merch will definitely move because all the merch still moves and it goes through Pro Wrestling Tees anyway. I don't know how. Obviously, the wrestlers get a kickback from that, but I don't know how much of a kickback. But at WWE shop, that merch ain't gonna move like that. I ain't never seen nobody with a Shinsuke Nakamura shirt.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's offending.
Why am I talking about money, Jordan? You know why?
Say?
Because you're supposed to draw. I know people like, why is he talking so much about money? You know why? Because in pro wrestling, you have to draw money. It's the same thing with Kevin Nash said at Will Ospreay. Like, how much merch is he moving? And I was like, that's some real stuff. Like,
that's some real stuff.
You moving merch, bro?
But
You
that's
gotta.
every industry
It's.
though.
I don't care if you work at Popeyes. You ain't working there for the love of the game. Like, I'm flipping this chicken, bro.
Right.
Getting this, you know what I mean? I'm doing it for the love of the game. No, I don't. I'm 34 years old, all right? And I'm tired half the time of my life. You think I'm doing anything just for the love of the game? I do podcasting because I love it. And I love
Mm,
my brother who I produce for Random Acts of Podcast, patreon.com, ROP podcast, ROAO podcast.com. And others, you know what I mean? I do this
right.
because I love Jordan. I don't like Monique, but I love Jordan.
I
So
love you too, bro.
I we do this with the eventual we're gonna get paid, but you still gotta have the love of the game, yes. But number two, you gotta draw some money
Right.
from whatever you do. I don't clock in at my job just to be like, man, I really love talking to people. I don't like talking to people. Gotta get paid though. So same
Right.
thing with pro wrestling.
And like it's the money that allows the company to continue to thrive. Like and let me say this also, because I feel like this is something that I feel like is taboo to say. Like, just because you're focused on money doesn't take away from artistic merit, or that artistic merit of anything shouldn't conflict with money. Like, I feel like I remember that whole Will Ospreay incident breaking out, and it was like, oh, well, I'm doing this, I get 5 stars, and da 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 da. And he sees himself as an artist, and that's okay, right? But at the same time, it's
Mhm.
like you have to make money, because
Right.
you being an artist isn't going to pay for the security, isn't going to pay for the arena rental fee, isn't going to pay for the broadcasters. It's how much money you make that's going to allow the company to expand into other markets so that you can be the artist that you want to be in all these different places, but you can't do that without money. So I just felt like that was necessary to say, because I feel like that's a very, very big conflict, not just in wrestling, but in across a bunch of industries. There's a bunch of people who were very, very craft centric, and because they're so like craft minded that they're not even thinking about money, but money is the means in which you can expand the reach of your craft. So you have to be focused on both. You have to have a knowledgeable understanding of both, and you have to be able to generate money in order to get your craft into other places so that you can continue to make money off your craft, if that makes
Right.
sense.
And everybody not gonna make it. I
That.
think people have a connotation with a lot of streamers and etc. Say, hey man, don't buy that microphone. Don't be a content creator. We need more doctors and lawyers, etc., etc. I don't know about lawyers, but
Mm,
doctors we for sure need. We need people in different industries more than ever now.
mm-hmm.
Hey man, that joint's still out there. What joint? You know, the 2020 joint, the end of the world.
Yeah.
And they said it might be coming back. So hey, y'all might want to put the microphones down because I don't want to see. I'll be damned if I be in the crib, even though that ain't gonna happen. Another couple months just to hear y'all talk about dating in
Mm.
2023. Hey, we can't date, shorty. You know why? Eggs cost $20 a cart, so
A
I
whole
can't take you
inflation.
to Outback Steakhouse.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's like you can't. You got to understand anything that you do, like Jordan said, and I've been saying that it's got. You don't want to have a plan. I mean, obviously, a plan B. eh, You know that shouldn't exist, but at the same time, you got to understand whatever industry you get into, make some money and understand it might not. It may or may not happen. I hate to be pessimistic, but that's just how I am a
It's
lot
just
of
real.
times in life. I'm just quiet about it, but everybody ain't gonna make it, bro.
And that's just
That's
real.
everything in life. So everybody ain't gonna make it. So if you're thinking about getting it, if specifically this business that we in, if you're thinking about doing it, nah, bro, go do something else. Trust me, because this ain't what you want. And this is coming from somebody that's been doing this for years. Because this ain't what you
Mm,
want. Go ahead, find something else that you're passionate about. Do some art or something. And I don't need
mm.
you to be coming into the market, saturating it more than it ever has been. And I see a new podcast every week from somebody. Patrick Bailey got a podcast. I say, yeah, I might need to quit for real. When Patrick Bailey got a podcast, because I don't want to hear nobody from out west Chicago talk about anything.
Not out west Chicago. That's a fact, though.
Yeah, I'm really, yeah, so I'm good. But yeah, I don't need y'all. And then I don't need y'all getting on podcasts and talking about Twitter topics that I can read because ain't no more Twitter topics because Twitter is dead and it's been dead for the past month and a half. I said years, but it's for sure been dead the past couple months and a half. Nobody
That's
is
a fact.
saying anything,
And I'm
but they are
tired
on
of all this.
TikTok. Well, why you can?
Right.
You can't even be you can't even be a TikTok creator no more. They about to shut down TikTok.
Right. It,
Damn, we
freaking.
can't have nothing in this country. Get
You
me
can't
the hell up out of here.
literally nothing. Literally nothing. But we could be
And
talking
then I
about this.
was gonna say get you a VPN, but they said they might be taking off the App Store. So
Really?
yeah, they talking about because it's supposed to pass, and then we're not gonna take up too much time, but I'm giving y'all some game. So if this bill passed through legislation, being that they banning TikTok in America, I was like, okay, get you a VPN, hint to everybody, and then you can see it in a different country where it's not banned because it's banned in China and it's banned in Korea. So obviously you don't want to go there, but they're talking about trying to pass it through legislation as well that they get the app off the Droid in the Apple Store. Now, if it's on the Droid, it's the way you can bypass all that. That's why I love Droid phones. Even though I got an iPhone, it's unfortunate. I'm gonna go back to the winning side. But when you got a Droid phone, you can get certain apps even if it ain't on the App Store. But yeah, I like the green bubbles. I don't give a damn about none of that. Who I'm trying to impress? I got a battery that lasts 2 days. I got PS2 games on here. I got other apps. I ain't trying to impress nobody at 34, but yeah. So in the meantime, between time, try to get y'all TikTok followers up. Random Max right now is at 10K followers. Make sure y'all, TikTok.com/Random Max podcast, and then TikTok.com/Jordan. I forgot. I think your full government name is on TikTok, right?
Yeah, Jordan Nahisi is mine. And then also follow Culture 316 Pod because we be posting on there too. So
wait, y'all on TikTok?
Yeah, Culture 316 Pod. We be posting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, bro.
I missed that.
It went under the radar. We like announced it once and then it was like we just post. But
nah. Hey man, listen, you going dummy. Me and the homie was talking about that. You going, great with the clips on YouTube. Once again, YouTube Shorts is the way to go.
Yeah.
TikTok is the way to go. Facebook is the way to go. Instagram and Twitter don't matter because they are trash apps to begin with. I hate both of them with a passion. But that's how you get your followers up. And as you see here, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, go on YouTube, even if you don't plan on, watching YouTube as you should.
Yeah.
Get on here, subscribe, hit the like button. You see them shorts because it's helping. And the subscribers go up every week. And you know why? Because he actually works and he doesn't make excuses. And it's not, never mind.
Thank you, bro.
I'll be taking shots at him.
I appreciate that though, bro. I really, really do. But we gonna wrap this mug up. And that is another episode of Culture 316. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, for tapping in. Once again, Banks, my brother, thank you for stepping in. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week, y'all.
You won't be seeing me for a while.
Nah, yeah. I mean, he gonna take his break respectfully, but he'll be back sooner than later. But we gonna
because they probably get tired of me. I know where y'all came here, y'all freaks.
I'm not gonna get into that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week. Have a good one, y'all.